Hey everybody, we are going to talk about some absolute value inequalities today. I'm going to leave it right there. The first problem that we want to work is the absolute value of negative 9x. Let me try again. Sorry, it's early in the morning. Negative 9x minus 3, and then that is less than 6. If you remember absolute value, there are two ways to solve, but I'm still going with my way. Each time I will model the problems that we do the positive of what's in the absolute value. The positive is going to be negative 9x minus 3 is less than 6. And then we're going to do the opposite of what is in the absolute value. So the opposite of negative 9x minus 3 is less than 6. To solve our first equation, we are going to add 3 to both sides, and we get negative 9x is less than 9. Divide both sides by negative 9, and we get x is greater than negative 1. If you remember, when you divide by a negative, you must flip an inequality sign. On the second equation, we are going to distribute that negative first, which leaves us with 9x plus 3 is less than 6. And we are going to subtract 3 from both sides. We get 9x is less than 3. Divide by 9, and we get x is less than 3/9 or 1/3. Now, as you can see, this is a less than, not the greater. So less than is the barbell type of graph. And if I want to draw my number line real quick, here's my 0. My negative 1 is going to be here, and my 1 will be here, meaning 1/3 is going to be about here. I have an open circle on negative 1, and it's greater than negative 1, so we're going to the right. And then x is less than 1/3, so we go to 1/3, open circle because there's no equal there, and we make our barbell. So they meet in the middle. If it's less than, your graph is going to be barbell. Another equation that we can have is going to be the absolute value of negative 5j minus 4 is greater than 12. This gives us two equations. One equation is going to be negative 5j minus 4 is greater than or equal to 12. Exactly like what you see, only without the absolute value. And then it's the opposite of 5j minus 4 is greater than or equal to 12. That's our second equation. Oh, I forgot my negative right. So when we solve the first side, we're going to add 4 to both sides, and we get negative 5j is greater than or equal to 16. And divide both sides by negative 5. And what happens when you divide by a negative? Your greater than goes to less than. Now, you can leave this as negative 16/5. But if you're going to graph it on a number line, you probably want to know that this is negative 3, because 5 goes into 16 3 times, and 1/5. So j is less than or equal to. In our second equation, we have to distribute that negative so that we get 5j plus 4 is greater than or equal to 12. we're going to subtract 4 from both sides and get 5j greater than or equal to 8 and divide by 5 so that j is greater than or equal to 8/3. Ah, my brain was already simplifying, 8/5. If we want to simplify, 5 goes into 8 once and leaves 3/5. So if we want to graph this, here's my number line, here's my 0. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, -1, -2, -3, -4. -3 and 1/5 is going to be about -1, 2, 3 and a little bit. This is a filled-in circle because it's less than or equal to. 0 is not less than -3, so we're going to go this way. Less than is this way. And graph my green. I go to 1 3/5 with a closed circle because it is greater than or equal to. And if it's greater than 0, it's not greater than, so we're going to the right. Ors go out. Ors go in the opposite direction. Ands come together. So this is an or. It is greater. So here is our answer. To look at what happens very quickly when we have something like the absolute value of q minus 10 is greater than or equal to -1. Well, if we think about this, anytime it says that our absolute value is going to be greater than a negative number, the absolute value is always going to be positive. So every single number in the world, when you take the absolute value of it, it's going to be positive. So if you have the absolute value greater than a negative, then my solution is going to be that q is equal to all real numbers. I can put any fraction, I can put any integer, I can put any decimal, I can put any whole number, anything at all that I want to put in here. I can put 4,307 and subtract 10 from it, and when I take the absolute value, it's going to be positive. I can put negative 4,307, and it's still going to be positive. Now, we also have a problem. If I have the absolute value of 6x minus 4 is less than or equal to -6, can the absolute value ever be less than a negative? It's not going to happen. So in this case, x is going to be equal to no solution. Sometimes we do the empty set. Sometimes we do that, which means nothing's going to work. That simplifies no solution. So there is nothing that this can be equal to. Now just with our absolute value equations, where sometimes we have to isolate the absolute value before we can split into the two equations, we have to do that sometimes with our inequalities. So if you have something like 3 times the absolute value of 2x minus 4, and then the whole absolute value we're going to subtract 6 is greater than 12, we have to isolate the absolute value before we can split into two equations. So the first thing we have to do is add 6 to both sides. And that gives us 2x minus 5 times 3, and it's greater than 18. And then we have to divide both sides by 3, because we still are isolating greater than 6. And now, once we get to this point, 1 is going to be 2x, the absolute value of 2x minus 4. Oh, I don't know why I put those there. I don't need them. I just need 2x minus 4 is greater than 6. And the opposite of 2x minus 4 is greater than 6. I should have put that in another color. I'll give you a second to catch up. Negative 2x minus 4 is greater than 6. And so now we add 4 to both sides and get 2x is greater than 10. Divide by 2 and get x is greater than 5. Over here we have to distribute that negative. So we get negative 2x plus 4 is greater than 6. Subtract 4 from both sides and get negative 2x is greater than 2. Divide by negative 2. And when you divide by a negative, what happens to the inequality? It flips. So, here, if we wanted to graph this, here's my number line. Here's my 0, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here we have x is greater than 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5. Open circle and greater than. So we're going to the right. X is less than negative 1. So open circle and less than. So since it's a greater or split in the opposite direction. So hopefully this will solve some of your questions. If you have any, please come and see me Friday morning. Bye.